Welcome back, Irish fans, to Breaking Down Braves Boys podcast. I finally get to start another post-game show well before the game's over. I had a few nail-biters recently where I wasn't able to, actually a lot of them, but today I was able to start it a little early, a little over 2 minutes left. Notre Dame's up 69-54, and the Irish are well on their way to being 4-1 in the conference and right back in the swing of things, right back in the mix, and suddenly Notre Dame is a bubble team. I don't know if anybody would have believed me when I said that, or if I said that around the BC game or that night. Notre Dame's quick rise in the ACC has been something to really watch out for, and anything that I said about this team positive in the offseason seems to be coming alive at this point. Notre Dame started really fast tonight. Clemson teams, Brad Brownell teams have typically thrived in games that are grinders. They've done it a lot of times against Notre Dame teams, even when they aren't as talented as Notre Dame. In 2019, they really pushed Notre Dame without Amir Sims, almost beat them just by making it a grinder. And Notre Dame didn't allow them to do that tonight, got out to a really fast start, probably their second fastest start of the year behind the Kentucky game. And I think a big part of that was the student section. Mike Bray all week was kind of hoping that they'd get some students in there, and he was hyping them up when they did get in there, standing on tables in the lunchrooms to get them in there in the first place, and then amping them up as the game went on. Just Mike Bray really cared about that student section, and it paid off for him. I think that's the common denominator in their quick starts, just coming out with energy, and I think that student section provides a lot of energy for them, and that was apparent tonight. Another thing about that fast start that I think is of note, Notre Dame didn't get much of anything from Prentiss Hubb and Blake Wesley in the first half. I think they had 4 points combined, and they were still up, 13 at halftime. So that's something to note for sure. Guys stepped up, guys made plays in the first half, and they didn't let two of their best players, arguably, not being on, contribute to – well, they were still successful without them. Sorry, long day, but – Blake Wesley didn't have it in the first half. Prentiss Hubb certainly didn't have it in the first half, and Notre Dame was still up by a lot. That's what's so appealing about this team, why this team can be dangerous. They have so many scoring options. They can score in waves, and they're one of the best teams in the ACC at firing off, 10-0 runs where they just jack up a few threes, and suddenly the game's a lot different. Tonight they did that, and the zone also was a big storyline to me, really threw Clemson off. I spoke with Anthony Solomon briefly at Georgia Tech. It's the first time I ever talked to him, and was talking to him about the defense. I think he repeated they got to move their feet about 5 times, and they did that tonight. I'm sure Coach Slow is proud. And their zone really just threw Clemson off. Clemson came in as a really good three-point shooting team. I didn't really buy that. I don't think they're all that great of a three-point shooting team. They have some good bigs who can shoot threes. Obviously, their guards can shoot a little bit. Hemingway can shoot. Alamir Dawes can shoot a little bit. Collins is a much more productive offensive player than he showed tonight. And Notre Dame just kind of threw them all off and just made a lot of things happen defensively that they haven't in the past. One of their best defensive performances of the year. The blue team is still not in. I was just monitoring for them. Speaking of the blue team, Elijah Taylor. Also, it's bad news that we got that statement from him that he's not currently available for Notre Dame. He's on the bench in street clothes right now, and Nate misses a three, but Taylor's on the bench in street clothes tonight. This looked like it could have been going one of two ways. One way would have been a transfer, and the other way was Taylor is ineligible for whatever reason and isn't playing, and we got the second option, which is a much better option than transferring. Taylor can help Notre Dame down the stretch a lot. I don't want to speculate as to what it is. A statement like that kind of makes it look like it looks like grades. I'm not 100% sure, though. I don't want to speculate. We'll figure it out eventually, I'm sure. Hopefully Elijah can get through whatever's making him ineligible. Wish the best of luck to him. But moving on to some of the individual guys, starting with Prentiss Hubb. Like I said, Prentiss Hubb was not very good tonight, and Notre Dame still found a way to win by a lot. Looking at the kind of the makeup of this team over the year and showing how it's changed, Prentiss Hubb, Trey Wertz, and Cormac Ryan combined for 16 points, and Cormac's was in garbage time. Prentiss's was a little bit of that too. But if you had told me that they combined for 16 points last year in a game against a team like Clemson, I would have thought they got blown out. So that's big for Notre Dame, just having the emergence of Dane Goodwin, Blake Wesley contributing 20 tonight, which we'll get to in a second, and Paul Atkinson just being the safety blanket for Notre Dame. He hasn't put up too many big stats this year, but has been really solid when they need him to be solid. Was solid defensively tonight. Didn't allow Hunter Tyson or PJ Hall to ever take the game over. And that's all they really needed from Nate and Paul. Those guys have really fought down low lately. Georgia Tech, they fought a lot down there. And just playing really hard defensively. Mike Bray seems to be happy with their efforts down there as well. Blake Wesley was forcing it a bit tonight. Had a bit of a hard time getting in the lane early, but really broke down the defense late. Had the 3 turnovers early, but overall, solid second half for him. Actually, more than solid second half. I'm not surprised one bit that Blake figured it out down the stretch and really got going to put this game out of hand. But the blue team is now in. Matt Zona is in there, Elijah Morgan, Tony Sanders, J.R. Knesny, and Cormac Ryan. Probably would have been Elijah Taylor, but wasn't today. Moving on to Cormac. It's kind of a normal Cormac Ryan game. Hit shots when he needed to, played really hard, good defense. But the thing that stood out to me from Cormac was really contributed on the glass tonight. Where's Cormac in the stat sheet? Cormac had 6 boards. A lot of those boards were big boy rebounds that Notre Dame is in desperate need of with their lack of super physical guys down low. So Cormac Ryan contributing on the boards was an underrated part of his performance tonight, and I want to shine some light on that. Just a classic Cormac Ryan game this year. Would love to have him as more of a focal point of the offense. I still think he has the potential to be that. But if he plays like he did tonight and his teammates play like they did tonight, perfect. Dane Goodwin tonight was exceptional tonight. A huge part of their great start. Had 8 points early, started like 3 for 3 from 3. Again, did a solid job against a really good defender and David Collins, a guy with some length, some athleticism, who could have given him trouble, probably would have given him trouble in past years, but Dane, I think, has really evolved, really found how to get himself space and get looks over taller defenders, more athletic defenders, and his mid-range today was unbelievable. Notre Dame just went final, 72-56. Dane Goodwin, 8 for 10, 3 of 3 from 3, 7 rebounds, 21 points. Unbelievable performance by Dane Goodwin. I shouldn't say unbelievable because he's had a lot of really good performances this year, but tonight was probably his best one, and it's apparent in how much Notre Dame won by. So big performance by Dane Goodwin. The 4 fouls don't concern me much at all. A few bad calls. I think he had 2 charges. I probably would have given him 1 charge if I was the refs, but it's not that big of a deal. Notre Dame blew Clemson out, ran him out of the gym. And Dane Goodwin was a big part of that tonight, for sure. So moving on to Trey Wertz. Trey, I thought he did a nice job spelling Blake Wesley tonight and kind of running Notre Dame through the offense at times. They never really got stagnant with him running the point. He's really under control, except for that crazy shot he took at the end of the shot clock that went in. That was a great sign to see from him. I would love to see Trey Wertz kind of get it going. He could be a really special part of this team if he can get it going. He shot like 42% from 3 last year and has definitely not done that this year. Shot 2 for 5, 1 for 2 from 3 today, 5 points. I would love to see Trey Wertz break out with an offensive performance at some point. I just think the crowded backcourt has made things harder on him, and that's fine. Trey Wertz he's still playing fine in his role. I just think his role can be expanded in the future. And that's the good thing about this roster. Like I said, they can score in waves, and you have a guy like Trey Wertz who can – if Trey Wertz is your 7th best guy in your rotation, perfect. Trey Wertz is probably a starter on a lot of Notre Dame teams in the past few years. He's the 7th man right now and is not playing all that well. So good to see Trey Wertz be under control. Would just like to see him shoot it a little bit better, and I'm sure that'll come. Came last year towards the end of the year. He was playing much better down the stretch. So hopefully we'll see that. Nate Laszewski, like I said earlier, he was efficient down low. He fought, and that's all you can really ask for from him if their guards are playing like this. Nate was 2 for 4, 1 for 3 from 3, 8 points, 8 rebounds, and did a nice job on Hunter Tyson and PJ Hall. Really made those guys work when they were defending him. I think Nate has quietly really improved as a defender and also as a rebounder. which is what I was really hoping to see from him heading into this year, heading into his senior year. And good to see from Nate, because if he can do those kind of things down the stretch for Notre Dame, then they're in a much better position, and they could be a lot better than 4-1 if Nate Laszewski can contribute in those kind of areas. So love to see that kind of performance from Nate Laszewski, and let's hope that they won't have to rely on him offensively as much if their guards are playing like this. Paul Atkinson, the last guy I kind of have to go over. It's just efficient. Like I said earlier and just then, he did a nice job also on Hunter Tyson. I would love to see Paul Atkinson contribute a little more as a rebounder. Only had 4 tonight, 7 points, 4 rebounds. I think he was still a somewhat big part of Notre Dame's win tonight. Just like I said earlier, if they have the flexibility with a guy like Blake, Dane Goodwin, Paul Atkinson, they didn't have quite the performances that they could have gotten out of those 3 guys last year. And I think that's the main jump from this team, because Nate hasn't got all that much better. He's probably gotten worse since this time last year. Well, I don't know if as a player if he's got worse. His production's got worse. Prentiss Hubb's production's got worse. Worst production's got worse. Ryan's production has gotten worse. But those 3 guys have really stepped up and made this Notre Dame team into what they are. And a lot of those guys would be kind of complementary pieces and not guys you rely upon. So really good win for Notre Dame. Just great energy tonight all around. The student section was huge for them. Mike Brigg going on the tables again in the lunchroom. The one thing that was kind of a dark spot was the Elijah Taylor thing, but then again, that could have been worse too. Let's hope that he can get whatever he needs to get on track. But Notre Dame's fast start was the big story tonight, and the zone was also something to definitely take note of. And Notre Dame's performances they got out of Dane Goodwin and Blake Wesley in the second half are just something that they need down the stretch. Just something that is huge for them. So big game for Notre Dame. Now 4-1 heading into Virginia Tech on Saturday. I think Howard's on Monday also. So a couple of big opportunities for Notre Dame in the next few weeks to really get going and prove that this isn't a flash in the pan. So let's hope that Notre Dame comes out not flat on Saturday against Virginia Tech and makes them work for it, at least if Notre Dame can't pull this one out. So I think this is the best I felt about Notre Dame's tournament chances all year, and we'll see if that continues over the next few weeks. But thank you guys for watching. Thanks for all the support over the last few weeks. Felt a lot of love on Twitter and on here, so appreciate you guys tuning in every game if you do, or whatever videos you can catch. So thank you guys for watching. Go Irish, and peace.